Mhm. Good afternoon. My name is Terry Barnes, and I'm the chair of the Mayor's Commission on Reparations, and we welcome you all here today and are excited to have our first in-person meeting in several months. Beautiful weather. Nice to be down in the city of Kansas City. Mr. Eric, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Okay, I'm going to call your name, and if you're here, say present. If you're not here, say absent. Commissioner Barnes,
Here. Present.
Commissioner Bowles, Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Ford,
Present.
Commissioner Harsfeld,
Present.
Commissioner Hearn, Commissioner Jones, Commissioner King,
Present.
Commissioner Lyman, Commissioner Morris,
Present.
Commissioner Reesmeyer,
Present.
and Commissioner Tauheed. He's here. He was here.
And there's feedback. I believe both Eric Goodman and Howard Rice have audio going from the session. And so virtually there's feedback.
Okay, let me run to the back real quick.
Do we need to wait for you or can we continue? Oh, it's okay. Mute one, because I see Howard Rice on the.
All right, we're gonna wait just a minute to try to get the, oh, it's really bad. Technology is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we have our meeting minutes from our last, I think, 2 meetings. No? All right. Well, then I will move on with my chair report. Black Audit Project will be wrapping up next week. Hopefully you all received the summary, or not the summary, the finished act. Hire our lead investigator and get that person up and running so that they can hire their team. And we can start our work. So we'll come back to that after everybody's had a chance to share their updates. And then the only other thing that I wanted to share is that we have had a lot of activity. Janae Relaford Janae Relaford, who's the president of the KC Coalition on Reparations, we attend a monthly strategy session. It's a Midwest strategy session, and it's open to the country, but it's typically Minnesota, Indiana, Missouri, it's the Detroit, it's the Midwest states that have commissions active. And she provides them with a report each month on what's happening in Kansas City. And sometimes you forget how much you do. I asked her if she would bring that report and share it with us today, because between the work that she does and the work that we do, there's a lot of activity happening in the reparation space. And sometimes I don't think that we're aware of. All of us are doing different meetings, different community sessions. And I'd just like to should you share that report on a monthly basis, just to help us know how broad the work that we are doing is across our community. With that, then I'll just go into subcommittee reports, unless anybody has questions for me.
So you want us to take that report, that the black audit, look through it, have questions? Is there a time that you want us to get feedback?
Well,
Since
so I said tomorrow at, I think 5 p.m. and I said it last week.
Okay.
I think I said it last week. So that's why I said if you could just look at your area, because it's a huge report, that would really be helpful. I believe they have to wrap it up on the 29th. So we were trying to get them feedback, so they have a chance to incorporate it.
Did you send to everybody's email?
Yes. Send it to everybody's email, yes. So if you need it, if you don't see it, I can send it back out to you, but it should be on your email. All right, thank you. I know that Dr. Bridget Jones is not here, so I'm gonna come back to her because she did a quick update. Linwood Tahid, are you on? Professor Tahid? You're on mute, if you will. Give her next up.
Yep, can you hear me now? No? Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah.
can hear you virtually.
Oh, virtually.
We can.
Okay, okay, you can hear me virtually, but they can't hear me in the room there. So
We can all hear you.
you can hear me? Okay, I am on. The Econ Subcommittee did meet on the second Thursday of this month. The topic for that day was developing our harm statement. And so Commissioner King took us through the process of developing a harm statement. And we decided that we would each prepare components of that harm statement that we'll get together before we meet next time and work out a harm statement that we can discuss in our next meeting and hopefully take a vote on to ratify.
All right. Any questions for Dr. Tahid? All right. Thank you, Dr. Tahid. Commissioner Tahid.
Sure, either is fine. Linwood is fine too.
All right. Commissioner Morris, do you have a report on housing?
Yes, I do. Let's get some camera. It doesn't count if you can't see me. The Housing Subcommittee met on the third Tuesday of the month at 3 p.m. There was a request made to review housing reparations that have been recommended across the country with a few specific locations called out. And we are resetting our speaker series. So working with a committee member to bring in some quality housing speakers for the next few months.
That'd be awesome. And Commissioner, will you share? I saw something come across a Facebook feed that you are going to be featured on related to housing and concrete bricks or some type of interesting architecture to address the housing shortage. Can you share that?
Yes, I'm happy to. Thank you for asking. This Thursday, April 25th, I am participating in actually two events, and I'm uncertain which one it is because they're related. They're both about my work, but one is with Kansas City Design Week about super abundant neighborhoods, focusing on the east side of Kansas City with Pat Jordan of the Gym Theater and the Firehouse, and Godfrey Riddle of Civic Saint, who are looking to use repurposed materials to build affordable housing. I'm partnering with that through the Green Line Initiative that I lead. And then later on that day, the Aspen Institute will actually be in town as well, talking about building wealth and well-being on Kansas City's east side. I will send out, I am remiss for that, invitations to each of you for a full day worth of programming that focuses on basically reparative justice in our community. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't hear about the Aspen Institute, but I heard about, is it Jeffrey Riddle or Godfrey Riddle?
Godfrey.
Godfrey Riddle. I read that somewhere. And I thought that really sounds interesting. And I saw that you were associated with it. So April 25th. And what time is that one?
The Kansas City Design Week event is at 11:30. And the Aspen programming runs from 2 p.m. with a panel with myself, Emmett Pearson, and Terrell Jolly, focused on building Black wealth through real estate. At 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, respectively, we have tours of 2 Eastside large-scale developments. And then at 5 p.m., there's a fireside chat with Dr. D'Angela Burns-Wallace of Kaufman Foundation, and McLean Macklin and Joyce Johnson. The Henry Crown Fellows from the Aspen Institute are putting it on in conjunction with my other business, Local Code Kansas City.
And those are both open to the public?
Yes. The
Yeah.
Kansas City Design Week, I believe, may have a cost associated with it. I'm uncertain.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you could share that information, that would be great to get it out to the commission.
Will do.
Any questions for Commissioner Morris?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment for Commissioner Morris. So Commissioner Morris, today we had that Midwest strategy reparations session that Sister Terry was talking about, and there was a lady on there named Erica Zimmerman from the Lawrence Habitat for Humanity. Do you know anything about a restorative housing project they're working on?
I do not.
I think it would be good for me to connect you with her.
Would you please?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Is Cornell Ellis on? I know he's not feeling well, but he said that he might get online. Or are there any other members of the education subcommittee that might be able to share? Oh, you know what? I can. Because I was so Cornell, he's not feeling well. So hope if you're listening, hope you get to feeling better. But last month, we held the education subcommittee meeting at Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church, and we invited in Dr. Kevin Ballard and Audrey Ballard to talk about African-centered education. And to tell you, it was just an incredible, phenomenal meeting. They basically provided the history of African-centered education in Kansas City, how successful that initiative was, how it was, I'll say destroyed, and how last year at some point, the Kansas City, Missouri School District brought the task force together and apologized for the role that they played in that disintegration of the original African-centered education. And I believe the Kansas City Star also took some responsibility for the negative media that surrounded it, that helped kind of take it down. But I left that meeting, and this is kind of cheating because we are the commission that will propose recommendations, but my son attended African-centered schools under Audrey Ballard, and I just know how well they worked. So I am a big proponent of bringing African-centered schools back. One of the questions that came up is we currently have an African-centered school model now in the Southeast High School building. I don't know what the differences. I don't know what the differences are, but there are differences. One of the examples that they provided is when they went into that particular, because they were in that particular space as well. I think the number was 507 police calls to that building in a school year. And after they took the building over, it was down to 0. The practices that they had at the school and the model that they use. So I definitely think there will be more to come on African-centered education. And I'm going to say under the Ballard's model, Because I think that whatever they did 15 years ago was very unique and different than what we're doing today. It was incredible. Anybody else want to share from the education committee who might be online? All right. Let's see, economics.
I think you covered it pretty well, Sister Terry.
Thank you, thank you. And again, Bridget Jones is not here. She sent me a quick note, and I'm gonna read this and then open this up to anybody else from the healthcare committee. They are continuing to plan the listening session for June 19th. The keynote speaker has been confirmed. She is working on panel members and the overall format. I don't know that we have a location. So as soon as Eric gets settled, I'll ask her about a location. But the date is June 19th because that's the date that works for the speaker. And then Juneteenth. And I believe a flyer is together. We're just waiting on a location.
Yeah, just want to lock that in.
Yeah, so if there are any other members of the healthcare subcommittee that would like to chime in.
I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about who the speaker is for the listening session.
I think it's exciting.
I think so too. Well, on behalf of Bridget, Dr. Jones, the speaker for the next listening session under the Healthcare Commission will be Academy Award winning filmmaker Kevin Wilmot. And you may know him from several different projects that he's put together. What he will be discussing is, of course, the healthcare and how that relates and correlates to reparations. But he has a film called From Separate to Equal, The Creation of Truman Medical Center. And so it'll be a really engaging conversation about that and then just healthcare and reparations. And so he's gonna also have a few people that will be on the panelists. Certainly someone that they'll be in the medical field will be able to kind of speak to that as well as to the film. So the plans are to view the film first and then have a robust discussion about it.
Do you know how long the film is?
Well, actually, we did talk about that. I thought it was 45 minutes.
Oh, so
to an
sure.
hour. There was a suggestion made that perhaps we just pull out some pieces that I think would serve as to serve as discussion and talking points. I'm not sure where we are with that, what that looks like, and I think that's probably something we have to get permission from Kevin Wilmot on splicing it for the sake of discussion, but I think it's about an hour or so. But yeah, that is Tuesday, June the 19th, and the save the dates are going out fairly soon, and a place will be confirmed within a week or two, so.
I was just wanting to, I was looking to secure the health department for that particular event. So yes, I should have the date, an answer this
Okay.
week.
Cool. I already put it on there on the flyer.
Okay.
That will be an evening event or during the day?
It will be from 6 to 8.
6 to 8:30.
So evening.
Is that Tuesday the 18th or Wednesday the 18th?
Is it whatever the night?
I think it's
Is that Wednesday?
Juneteenth.
Thank you for that.
Oh, that's exciting. I
Yeah.
think people will look forward to hearing him and,
Just doing a lot of different projects. I know he's also going to be producing a movie that's going to be featuring Mr. Allen Brooks. But that'll be coming out. Yeah, I'm very confident for that as well. So this is like, so it's just kind of good to see all these different highlights on screen of Kansas City.
good time to be in Kansas City.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
All right, any questions, comments, any other thoughts or any of the subcommittee reports that we've heard today? Before we go to the next item on the agenda? Criminal justice, we still, I did follow up with the mayor's office because as you know, we lost our person in January. And we are waiting for an appointment and I did follow up, with the mayor's office several weeks ago. So hopefully we will have, an announcement soon. There was a gentleman that we were considering, but he is an employee of the city. And the preference was not to bring on an employee of the city, but to get somebody different, because we can always reach out to that person for support as we need it versus taking up a seat. So hopefully soon.
Can we speak to something still, even though we don't have a committee meeting for that?
Sure.
So I was watching a special the other day and I thought maybe this might be the best forum for us to talk about it, for 420 Day, where, marijuana and all of that.
I don't know, it's 420.
Yeah, I mean, come on, this week. So, but, I'll send you the flyer.
Yeah.
But my point was that the report that came along with it talked about how there's 40,000 African Americans that are still in jail or incarceration because of marijuana, possession of, selling and all that. And I thought, you
In
know,
what
that,
jurisdiction you talk?
I don't know, that
United
was my,
States.
yeah, in the United States. And so my question before I made the statement would be, like, how many do we have in Kansas City still that remain? That may be something I think we can take on, as part of that subcommittee, would be interesting. Now that it's legal, now that a lot of money has been made, a lot of, companies have sprouted up, what that looks like for reparations for those that are incarcerated. So, I don't know, it was just kind of an interesting dialogue that they had, and I just thought.
You're right, Matt, because surely if now that it's
Actually,
legal.
I never thought about it as a race issue, although I wouldn't shock me to find out it's disproportionately high. That wouldn't surprise me. But there are places in Kansas and stuff where people are taking care of those convictions. Being convicted of things that are no longer illegal. There's some effort. It's not enough. And it would be very interesting
I
to
think it
see if
would.
there's something to do.
Yeah,
I don't doubt if we find the statistics. It'll be terribly disproportionate.
right, with over sentencing and all.
Well,
of
over
that.
sentencing, yeah. But
Yeah.
council and all that, so.
Well, who would that even be? I mean, just in our locale, who would be the body that would be looking at something like that? Would that be an agency or would that be more on the nonprofit side of?
Sounds to me, they would have to develop an agency, it's just legal in Missouri, it's still federal offense. Marijuana is still federal, illegal. So it just has to be in Missouri. And so although we have.
So would that be a state
develop-
law that we would have to?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I don't know, there might be city ordinances too.
Oh, I was thinking even just, when we were talking about the last time, just the interconnectedness of all of our work in subcommittees. Not only is it an issue about, over prison, over sentencing, but also just what's the economic, impact of that. For those, particularly now, of the shops that are making a lot of money, right? And so I don't know, it was just an interesting concept of one example of just again, the disparities. That perhaps that can be smiling at.
I'm stuck on what, I wasn't. Just help me out. Okay, all right.
I will say, it's the day that they smoke a lot of weed, and let's say national initiative, we'll call it that.
Not sure why, how it came to be 420.
I don't know the history behind
But
it.
there was, marijuana day was 420.
Yeah,
Way before states started legalizing it for medical or,
right.
use, just regular use.
The other thing I think of immediately, and I'm sorry, comment is that, perhaps we can have somebody at our next meeting come and talk to us about what it is. I mean, I just don't even know what that would be in Kansas City. How many people, what is the staff and is anybody doing anything about it or no?
It's funny, it came up because I was just on a group the other night and there's a lady in the audience. And the place we were playing, they have a room, outdoor place. And the smell was but and you talking Yeah, you're gonna tell us you didn't know that smell. I didn't inhale. When she was talking about before it got illegal, this was one of the ways she made ends meet by, selling marijuana. And so now that it's legal, she's forced out of it. And she's great. And it just, I was just thinking about how, convoluted it sounds, but it was, not viable, but it was a way to, it was a sign. So.
Mr. Nelson, I saw your hand and I will let you comment on public comment. Thank you.
We could look to Chicago on using funds from marijuana, know that it's legal there, and how they invest it into the community. I was actually just talking to a colleague that I have in Chicago specifically about that and how they use that funding to like funnel into community development and financial stability type of thing. So it is up the city in Chicago.
But ours is already spoken for, right?
That I know.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I think it has something to do with the housing fund, if I'm not mistaken. The tax raised from the marijuana sales would be to fund the housing, at least a portion of it. So yeah, that's a good. Communication. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a really good one for us to look at and talk about, because you're right. I bet it is disproportionately affecting other people. All right, anything else on subcommittees, any of the harm areas? If not, we are ready to jump to old business and new business. Mr. Kenneth, you want to give us a update on rhythm, rhymes, and reparations?
Well, there's not much to update.
Did we get all those ads pulled back, or at least
I thought so. And I still got some calls the other night.
Oh,
So,
I don't know if the full commission knows what happened. I don't think the full commission knows what happened. You want to share what happened so we're all on the same page?
yeah, I'm sure. Basically, I think there's an idea that.
Oh, no, not that. The fact that we advertised in the newspaper. So we canceled the Rhythm Rhyme and Reparations events to be planned a little bit later, but before we canceled them, they got posted in the Call and I saw it in the Community Voice.
Yeah.
And so we were trying to pull that back and let people know that it wasn't gonna happen.
So I made calls to all of those sources that I knew of. And, but listen, like spilling the water of glass, glass of water, you're trying to catch it, but you just don't catch it all.
So I'm glad there's interest.
Yeah, so I think, sometimes bad, not such necessarily bad publicity, but publicity is publicity. Sometimes it's good, sometimes bad, I mean, you can be Kim Kardashian and whatever you put out there makes you richer. And, but I think, the publicity is there. I think it helps to empower this a little bit more. And so, but we just have to go to another level.
And the game plan is for June, July, and August.
We have to look at it because, there's a lot of coordination with artists and places.
Okay.
So we need to put some kind of statement out of it. All of you, but we have to respond some sort of
That would be good.
explanation since it.
If the commission feels like we need to do that, because I've been in all of those, but official one might be good. And that's publicity.
Well, and it might be because the ad had the April date and the May date. So on the May date, you might want to go out and put something on the door when it gets, so if people remember that and show up, they'll at least know that it's been rescheduled. That was at the Mohawk. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other old business or anybody have new business they'd like to share? All right, I'll talk about one piece of new business, and that is that project plan that Dion so graciously put together for us. There's a lot going on. I sent that out a couple of weeks ago, but it was a one pager that tips to put together all the projects that we're working on in one place. For those of you that have not signed in the teams, again, we're going to start putting all of our documents out there so that they are in one place. We are hoping to have all of our subcommittees get their harm statements completed, as well as a list of the those important contributors to our work. The next thing that we'll talk about is get the RFP out, and we want to make sure. Thank you, Eric's put it up on the screen. So not only do we want to get our harm statements together, but who are the people that we need to talk to when it comes to the health space or the housing space? You know, who are those people? We have a really good start because we pulled together a few names for the Black Audit Project. So we want to continue to pull those so that we're not running around at the last minute trying to identify folks. So with that, the last topic I have to talk about is the RFP.
Old new business, I don't know if it's appropriate, but I have two thoughts.
Sure.
One on old business, and I got not a vote in favor of it, but it's becoming for me, it's becoming more important. I do believe we should just suggest to the city and the mayor that we rename this the Kansas City, Missouri Commission on Reparations. That's what it is. We're not doing this for the mayor, we're doing it for the city of Kansas City. Got no traction last time, but that doesn't mean I'll give up on that. And then the other idea, if this is the right place to do it, I think we should send a report to the city council where we are and set our new deadline. Okay, I would, something like our preliminary report of December of 24, something like that, and set it rather than have somebody set it for us. But I think a report, why we have it complied with the original deadline that's in the ordinance, I think the appropriate and polite, and we should make something.
And I am thrilled to tell you that I had a conversation with Reed Day a couple of weeks ago to say exactly similar, not the exact same thing, but ask for a meeting with the council so that we could give a report and talk about what we've done to date and what we anticipate doing now that we've been funded and can get our work going with our investigators. So I have shared that with you. I didn't mention the setting a new date, but we have informally talked about that. I agree with you. We probably want to get something in writing or in an ordinance or some type of update that says we have a new date. He did not think that's just not going to be an issue or a problem, but we probably want to make it formal. So I agree.
I don't think we asked. I think we give the report and tell them.
And we have a report already done, because we did a one page, you and I worked on that a couple of weeks ago, and so I think just kind of charting out all of the things that we've done.
Well, if you want to shoot to me, I'll give you suggested language. Setting the new date.
Shoot it to you. You should have that, Mr. Smile.
Yeah, finding it. Want to know how many email accounts I have that I'm behind on?
I call that because it was very nice. It was a what do we call it? I can resend it. That'd be great. Yeah. And I'll work on getting that date. We should congratulate Mr. Reed Day. He is a new dad to Archie. I think his name is Archie. Lily and Archie. So Reed Day, if you are listening, congratulations to you and your family on the new baby. So yeah, I'll thank you for that. We should get in front of the council and share with them what we've done and what we plan to do.
Okay, Sister Terry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I got a couple pieces of, I don't know, old news, new news, just some thoughts. But one, I'll just comment on one thing I just heard, and I would say that I would just say to keep the name the same. This is just not to dwell on it. I'll just say to keep the name the same. That's how it was established. That's how members of this of the commission were established through that, you know, not just the title, but that they're in name. And so let's just keep it the same and continue on there. I don't know, these other two things are, you know, I could just one at a time, but I know they're, you know, conversation points. So one being that just as a means of moving forward, I think that we should formulate some sort of standard letter, some sort of standard outreach document, right? So that as we're gauging who we want to focus on, you know, if we're focusing on, you know, what you said, you know, like gospel organizations, want to focus on this or that. As we recognize who we want to focus our efforts on, you know, I say that we take like a first round as businesses would do this. So with a preliminary letter, we would send it out to those that we would think would be allies or organizations, you know, church organizations and such that would side with us. And we asked for something simple, you know, $1,000 from in this standard proposal letter. And it does multiple things. One, it gives us something so we could send out to our allies, you know, and, you know, our organizations that back us, you know, all these quote unquote, but to see so that we actually have a backing of support from, you know, places that isn't just, hey, yeah, we back you, you know, you put a little financial tie on it. You know, that builds up our support basis, as well as forcing us to actually have a place where we're going to hold our funds that we would receive from such ongoing proposals sent to places, right? As I said, round one, and you know, obviously pointing at multiple rounds or sending out to other people, just having something standard to send out so we know, hey, these church organizations are actually more so willing to back us. Let's, you know, have actual sessions tailored towards that, you know, and so then we're not putting multiple efforts and extra efforts towards other realms that, you know, towards a fruitless cause per se. We're targeting them towards where we know the basis of our support is.
Commissioner Bowles, for clarity, are you specifically talking about in support of the event Rhythm Around Reparations sponsorship, or do you mean just reparations in general?
I mean reparations in general and this commission in general, as in, you know, how we are lacking, you know, about half of the funds we've asked for and such, that instead of, or I guess as well as whatever other means and methods y'all want to go about it, but as well as those, going with a proposal sending out to our potential allied businesses, our potential allied organizations to say, hey, we're sourcing our, you know, support. You can support here, there, a multitude of ways, and one, we need to establish our financial goal, like, you know, our financial you know, stream more so, like, so that we know where things are going. We need to get that established, and waiting for the city to come through with a few $100,000 to get it there is going to, you know, I think would have more issues on the rollout versus having something minute, and it's building our support. It's, you know, it just helps in a multitude of ways. It's just an idea that I'm throwing out because I think that, you know, as far as moving forward, when it comes to these proposals that we want to send out, we're wanting to say that, hey, we have some backing from such person sponsored by this. And so then that would also be the building. This will be the basis of the building of that as well.
Any discussion?
or questions?
My question is, are you speaking mainly about fundraising? The point that you're driving?
That is, yes, that's a portion of it. Yes, it is fundraising, but that's, that's accumulating the funds that the commission needs to do our duties to, fulfill that actual budget, do these items and such.
So Commissioner Bowles, just for clarity, the $510,000 that we requested is the budget that we've said we needed to do our work. So in my opinion, there is no fundraising that we necessarily need to do. I know that we've only been funded 370,000 of that, so we're short. We can do that really fast. 30 makes 430. I know we're short 130, but we can move out on some of the key priorities that we have in the budget, which is, for me, it would be hiring the lead investigator and getting that team in place and being able to do our community listening sessions and events and probably some marketing. So we do have enough funding to begin to do those things. But we, unless somebody else has another thought about it, we don't necessarily need to go out and do fundraising.
I think.
Well, and see, it's not it's not just fundraising. So that's the thing, is that I get what you're saying about what we're getting from the city. We can work from that. That's working inwardly, right? So we're a commission, that goal that you said works inwardly because you're building up our research person. We're putting those funds towards that. I'm talking of our outward reaching, because we're going to have to eventually reach out to more than just the community, to organizations, to businesses as well. So this is getting a foothold beforehand with, a simple letter to do so. And so but then, the question out of that then is, where is the monies that they have going then when it's released from the city? Where are they putting that money to so we can utilize it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the city attorney would have to freak out if we decided to. It's outside the scope of what we've been asked to do and authorized to do. And so I don't think we can get into fundraising at all.
What?
So I think, Commissioner Bowles, I think you may be talking about some work that the coalition is doing as far as fundraising on that end. So they are, because their task is different than ours, and in many ways we will be partnering in that work. But the commission, quote, the mayor's commission, we would not be engaged in any fundraising for our work, for the commission's work.
Yeah, that's fine. But so as far as getting support from organizations, you guys, your outlook then is to just get support from and say, hey, we got support from this person. They sent us a letter of support. So then when we go about these recommendations and such, we say, hey, they support us. Is that the just off of the word of mouth, the letter they send over?
Brother Will.
Yeah.
I think what Kansas City Reparations Coalition is working on, the KC Clergy for Reparations Initiative, is going to help with what you're talking about. And I don't know if you didn't know, but there's a meeting this Friday, the Urban Summit meeting. That meeting is special for this conversation on engaging the faith-based community in reparations. So we're going to be asking attendees of that meeting about creating a fund to support reparations in Kansas City. So I think that will help with what you're hoping for.
And indeed, sister, that's greatly appreciated. That hits the hammer on the nail. So appreciate that. That puts that one to rest. Again, okay. Thank you, Sister Janae. My last
You'll get a flyer for that too, Brother Will.
Hey, that's what's up. My last question and thing I want to bring up is that we definitely need to have a Facebook of some sort. With all the going back to what was said, at the beginning of the meeting, all the activity that's going on, these meetings, these, Sister Asia's. I mean, you got all this stuff going on that we can't, that we need to be able to hear about, and we need to be able to publish our reparations things we've got going to, we need to have that main base of outreaching to the people. We got to hit the people where they are, and clearly that's where the youth, that's where the elders, they're all in there, and so that's what we need to do now. I know that this was a main point of contention throughout the reparations coalition, and so lo and behold, when the Facebook rolled out, there was no issues. There was more turnout. There was more people showing up and engaging with everything. So, actually, at that time, I had some major issues about it, but lo and behold, there was no problems with it. So it just ended up having more turnout, more people showing up and everything. And I think that we definitely need to mimic that same move that they did, because it would do the same thing for us. So at our listening sessions, we're actually having turnout at the, our efforts are going towards, the outreach that we're wanting, and reaching the people from that one.
I agree with you, Commissioner. I do think there needs to be some sort of social form that we rely on to be able to better communicate with the community. As we're working with other reparation initiatives in different cities, they're already on TikTok and Instagram, and being able to use those mediums effectively. That's how we were able to connect with one recently. I think part of the issue was some people were just not aware that there are ways that we can control comments and communication. And then the other part was who keeps it? Who is the keeper of the Facebook? So perhaps more communication about that. But I agree with you. Facebook would be an easy hit. I use it personally for my business, and am able to control a lot of commentary that you don't want on there, and negative publicity. So I agree with you. That's what I wanted to say.
Any other discussion or immediate thoughts? We don't have to solve it today. I agree. I was one of the pro Facebooks early on, and I understand that there's a lot of concern related to what could happen on Facebook, but I guess my thought is, what is the worst thing that could happen? What is the worst thing that could happen?
Well, that's the thing. The worst thing that could happen, somebody misinterpreting our post, right? However, this is from a commission. And if we have, just like the city has said before, that we would have legal advisors as we had in the initial, then, I mean, that's actually, that'll be legal ramifications for actually posting as, impersonating, a commission on there. I mean, so you would think that, at that point we would be able to reach out to our legal advice or whatever, and worst case scenario, there would be able to have a letter disseminated that would, cease and desist, whatever the, how that would be.
Yeah, so
Think that there would be nothing.
I agree. And let's take that one offline and find out what those concerns were. I do recall that Commissioner Ellis had significant concern about it. I can't remember who the other person, but they were significant enough that we tabled the conversation. But I do agree that we need some method to get our activities and information out to the community. So let's table that one and take it offline and see if we can maybe work with city communications and find out what the real perspective is on doing that. Because the city has a Facebook page. The health department has a health Facebook page. So there has to be some means of monitoring and keeping it
together. So thank you for raising that, Brother Will. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up?
No, that was it. Appreciate it.
All right, any other additional old business or new business? Oh, before I go there, on Commissioner Reesmeyer, the request to change the name to the Kansas City Commission instead of the Mayor's Commission. Is there any other discussion, any other point of views on that? I don't want to just leave it and not address it.
I did want to just restate that I wanted to go against that, but I won't elaborate anymore. Just state that.
The only thing I would say on that, I do think that it's probably a good idea to look at changing the name. Just because I've run into some issues with residents who have a bad taste about the commission just because it has the mayor attached to it. So I don't know how many more people feel like that, but only thing I would say is we wouldn't want people to be confused between KC Reparations Coalition and whatever name you all change it to.
I get that. So my main point of contention about it all is that that's how we came to be, you know. I mean, of course, we know how it really, we know how it happened, sister, but that's how this commission came to be, that's how these people were appointed. And so at the time of being appointed by the mayor, the name being sanctioned to be such, I say to leave it as same. Anything else, regardless what people would think, I would think that it would be kind of, shiesty as we would say, or, like, it'd be like, oh yeah, hey, I appointed you, then, oh, well, I don't want the name anymore. That kind of doesn't quite sit right, just how, my rule of principles, but that's how, that's just my point of contention on it.
And I would just say weighing the timeline on how much longer the commission will be seated, if it is even worth to change the name, thinking of how much longer we have for the work.
Yeah, definitely agree. Because there's a basis that's been set, and hey, it's just going about it. And still, I definitely look forward to having that conversation about the Facebook and all this, because, there is a massive amount of effort, and we know that with the summer, for some reason, it always heightens activity, and we don't want to miss that, that climax. So I'll just digress.
All right, any other comments or thoughts on the name change? Okay. All right. I would just ask that we just kind of sleep on it. When Commissioner brought it up before, I really thought it made a lot of sense. I thought it is a Kansas City thing, but I don't know how strongly I feel about it either. So I would just ask us all to sleep on it.
My job was don't let me forget you.
That's right. All right. All right. Anything else under old business and new business? I do want to share one thing really quick. Last weekend, Commissioner Harsfeld and I attended it was a seminar, a conference for the church called Racial Justice. Dr. Drew Hart was the guest speaker. Melissa Robinson, she did a workshop called Reparations 101. And my understanding, it was a culmination of 4 or 5 different church organizations that came together to kind of lead into this whole topic of reparations. And I took a lot away from it, but one of the things that really struck me, he made a comment that the church is not just complicit in this race issue, they actually started it. And he took it all the way back to the formation of Christianity and kind of shared how racism was used even then for power in the church. And it was just a really powerful, presentation. And I share that just to say, I'm really happy to see that our friends in Overland Park, Kansas, this was at Covenant, not Covenant, it was at Hillcrest, Covenant Church on 99th and Mall. But it was really nice to see that our faith-based community is getting involved and engaged and kind of leaning into how can we learn more about this topic. So we're gonna have to kick Jackson County into gear and start getting some of that stuff happening on our side of town.
You probably need to put a Facebook together so we can
Facebook will solve all of our problems. Real Justice Network, Justice Gatson is not in attendance. And so I'm gonna kick it over to, Janae Relaford for a report for KC Reparations Coalition.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted people to see the report. If I could share my screen.
Yes,
Okay,
just to see the report, but if you would just kind of go through and do highlights. I just, Sister Janae puts this together for the Midwest, conference that we sit on each month. And we kind of share what's happening with the different commissions. And for me, we do a lot between the commission and the coalition. We've been involved in a lot of interviews and events. And so what you see on the screen now, and I'm going to be quiet and let her present, not necessarily asking you to read it, but if you could just share some of the highlights.
yeah, exactly. That's all I was gonna do. You see at the top, I just have it, all the meetings of the month, and this is March. And then the events, the highlights of those meetings were the Black Audit Project. Liberation Ventures, that grant that we got from them, they have a research consortium that members of the commission and coalition have been able to partake in. Then I'll just move to the important updates, which were, of course, that now I wanted to clarify, Sister Terry, because you said 170,000, but it's a 360,000, right? It was $160,000 bump to the 210,000. So yeah, so it is 170. It was 370. So I need to correct that on my report. So then, of course, that was a victory. And then the Black Audit Project, and then this meeting Friday with the Urban Summit that we're inviting the faith-based community to. And I tried to, the chat in this meeting, I couldn't share the Zoom link or it wouldn't let me copy and paste. So I don't know what that is, Eric, that it won't let me copy and paste, and I couldn't upload the flyer from my computer either. So I wanted to share that with you all, but I'll just send it in a separate email about the Urban Summit meeting Friday at 8:30. It's a breakfast meeting, but you could also join via Zoom, and we're gonna be encouraging the faith-based community here in Kansas City to collaborate and engage when it comes to local reparations. I think that's pretty much the bulk of the highlights. Does anyone have any questions, or am I leaving anything out, Sister Terry, that I should highlight?
No, I was just asking, where will that meeting be held in Morning Star? Is that right?
Yeah, it's at Morning Star Community Center, and that's 27th and Prospect.
And what time?
8:30.
And they feed us, huh?
Yes. So it's a breakfast meeting in person, and if you can't be in person, there is a Zoom link.
And Janae, what link couldn't you cut and paste?
I was trying to copy the link to the Urban Summit meeting into the chat.
Oh, I have it on my email. Let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
If I can get to my email. I can't.
So yeah, that's all you all on my report.
Thank you, Sister Janae. We are ready for public input. Eric, do we have anybody in the public? that would like to come to the mic and speak?
Do you guys?
Before you do that, Eric,
Okay.
sorry, I didn't mention our public meeting Monday with Brother Cam Howard at 6 p.m. Kansas City Reparations Coalition has our monthly public meeting virtually, and we will have Brother Cam Howard with Reparations United talking about the Earn the Black Vote campaign, which is so important because he is going to be preparing us for the November 5th election and what are we supposed to do? So, okay, that's it.
Thank you, Sister Chagall.
Thank you.
I'll just repeat my name, Joseph Nelson, community at large. So the discussion earlier regarding marijuana, when it was legalized, the city specifically gave all cases were dismissed that were on the books. And then anyone with city, so that's municipal violations for marijuana, received 6 month time frame to basically submit for expungement of those violations. So if there is any research to be done, it would be to see if there are people that missed that 6 month window, because some of the funding that was from the marijuana taxes went towards them, but it only covered the first 6 months. The mayor did make comment of using his pardoning power on those violations, so there could be follow-up there. So there are people still with violations on the books. From the city standpoint, they should be able to get those rectified. The other piece on that is licensing for marijuana sales. To what the brother was saying, a lot of our community members that were involved or that would naturally have progressed into this industry were not given licenses. So there's a strong disproportion across the country when you look at the legalization of marijuana to where the rules and regulations and how they were implemented, and there's a large disparity on where the licenses and the money that's being made is going. So that could be a discussion. I think it would sit more in the economics seat, but I think that's where that would be. That's all I have on that topic. What I really wanted to talk about, and I've been following a lot of the subcommittees as much as I can. I feel like the one ask, if there was to be one ask from this reparations committee, it should be to in some way rectify the $650 million deficit in the Kansas City Public Schools for deferred maintenance. And if you look at the reparations and listening to a lot of the discussions that the subcommittees have, you can tie the lack of funding that has forced the Kansas City Public Schools into this large deficit to the redlining in the communities, specifically to the cases for Kansas City and St. Louis that addressed the lack of funding for public schools, laws from the state, as well as ordinances from the city that pushed investments into certain communities and actively disinvested and disrupted many of our communities of color. So I think all 5 categories have pretty direct lines that can be drawn to the school and indirect lines. And I feel like that's a very concrete and tangible number that's very relevant because right now KCPS is working on trying to pass the first bond initiative in over, I want to say 60 years. And it's still an upward battle. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But they're planning for a 10-year plan of what they want the schools to look like and what other ways we can get funding. And I think it just fits hand in hand, right? To say we can draw a line, and because housing, especially when you look at property taxes, and 80% of the schools is funded by property taxes, but all the areas where the schools impact, those areas were redlined, those areas were disinvested in. The city demolished so many houses, built highways through those neighborhoods. There's so much historical evidence that can be tied to specific ordinances and stuff that the city departments, Parks and Rec, all of these things that we can go back and get tons and tons of data on, as well as news articles to say, hey, it's an easy connection to draw, and all of the subcommittees can support it in some way. And lastly, I've thrown my name out there for the vacancy in the criminal justice chair a few times, more quietly, but I'm on the record now, so I'll throw my name out there. I mentioned it to a few of the council folks. And
Oh, well, they don't run anything in the
I
committee.
think we might have spoken. Like, I don't know who decides what. I applied online as well, never heard back. So
Online.
yeah, there's a way to apply for
Oh, the formal, just for the kind of citywide commissions. I didn't think about that. Huh. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Joe Nelson. We will follow up on your interest. Mr. Purple Shirt from UMKC.
I don't have anything to say.
Since I just called about, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Kyle.
Kyle is a student at UMKC, and his class is study of reparations. And so he is here observing. He's going to take everything that we said and take it back to his class. And I did let him know that we have attended, we've gone to Penn Valley and done talks, and we've also been to KU. So we would love to join you at UMKC if that's something that your child would be interested in. All right, Eric, anybody else? Public?
We've got Stacy Webb.
All right, Stacey.
Okay, Stacy, you can unmute yourself.
Hi. I had a couple of questions. I've been having a hard time hearing today. Is the system different than it normally is?
Looks at me. Yes and no.
Okay.
It's set
Okay.
up in,
I just wondered if it was on my end, because it very well could be, but that's fine. I just had that question. So my then, because I haven't been able to hear very well, could you tell me just a brief, why was there a discussion about changing the commission's name? What was the point?
Commissioner Reesmeyer, would you take?
I raised that issue, and as I have talked to people around the community, I realized that this commission, in my view, was done for the city of Kansas City, Missouri commission. I know the mayor was the one that got it done. I like the mayor, everything's great about that. But I think it better describes my point, it better describes, and it's not something that has to be done today, maybe it never gets done. But it's something I want the commission to think about when the report comes out. I think it's better if it's the Kansas City, Missouri Commission report. Because it's for
I see.
Missouri.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that repetition for you. And there hasn't been any new date set for the Reparations Rhythm and Rhyme. Is that correct?
That's correct. Not at this time. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, there has not been a rescheduling date set yet.
Okay, I think I caught on there, not at this time. Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Webb.
And I'll just say it's not just Stacy. I was having problems hearing too. I can hear the panelists really well, but I can't hear you all very well. I can't hear the commissioners very well.
And that's been throughout the entire meeting?
Yes.
And when you say you can't hear us, you mean loudness, or do you mean it's fuzzy and you don't?
It's muffled. So like you gotta really listen hard, you know, you gotta open up your eardrum.
Yeah, that's no lie. Like when I had asked about where they're putting the money, the city, where they putting it at, I didn't hear the answer. It has been like distorted the whole time or whatever. But I don't know if the mic's just in the middle of the room or something like that, or what.
Thank you for letting us know. I don't think we realized that until just this minute, that we had a bad.
Cause we can hear fine on this end.
Because it sounds great on our end. Everything is clear. All right, Eric, do you have any other public testimony?
I do not see anyone's hand up.
All right, does anybody on the commission have anything else they would like to raise? Any questions? Okay, then I will say that I will be working with LaDonna McCullough's department. She walked in here and left. I thought she's gonna stick around, but I'll be working with her over the next few days to get our RFP together. And if you have not submitted names of organizations, individuals, universities, or whoever we think we want to make sure that RFP gets in the hands of, please get that to me. I'm gonna give you a date. Because we want to make sure that this thing gets in the hands of the right people. And we know that it did not the last time that we sent it out. So I'm gonna say by Friday, May 3rd, and I'll send out a reminder. But if you have specific organizations or individuals or people that you've spoken with, please make sure we have an email address, contact name, so that we can make sure that those proposals get to the right places. We want to make sure that we get a good response and that we get somebody in place and we can get started on this very important work.
So we need to send you the list, not send it out.
No, I would say send it to me, because I will send it to the procurement office and they will load it in their system.
Okay.
So that when they send it out, it will go to those places. All right, so if there's nothing else, we will call 417 a wrap
All right.
until next month. Thank you all.